Hi, my name is Cameron, and I will be talking about how racism is still around in today's world, and in some parts, similar to what it was in the past. You might wonder, what is racism? Well, as stated in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, racism is a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Now that we got that brief description out the way, I want to talk about how people of color are experiencing the same things today as well as they did in the past. And I want to use Emmett Till as an example. Emmett Till, who was barely even a teenager at the time, fell victim to racism in the past. He was accused of verbally assaulting a white lady in a grocery store. And once the public caught wind of what he had been accused of doing, they did things to him that were unimaginable. They had kidnapped him, tortured him in many ways, and then in the end, lynched him. His family found his body 3 days later, in which he was naked and mutilated to the point where he was unrecognizable. Well, what happened to the lady who accused Emmett Till in the first place? She was brought into court for his murder, but it was quickly dropped by an all-white jury, even though she was the last person to see him alive. Her name is Caroline Bryant, and she is still alive today. You might ask, well, this happened almost 70 years ago. How could this be similar to the events that are happening in today's world? Well, for example, in 2012, Trayvon Martin was wrongfully killed in almost similar fashion. He was walking home from the store after getting a snack and he was fatally shot. He was shot because someone deemed him as a dangerous person and because there had been a string of robberies in the area. So the person tried to be the judge, jury, and executioner, which resulted in the kid's death. How could a 17-year-old look dangerous? Why not call the police to investigate and not do it himself? The simple yet sad answer to those questions is that he assumed that since a Black person was walking in an area where there have been robberies, then he must be the culprit. He did not care whether he killed him or not. It was just another Black kid dead to him. I remember when this happened and I saw it on my TV when I was 8 years old at the time. And when I saw the kid's face, he almost looked like one of my older brothers or one of my cousins. I thought to myself, wow, that could have been them. I was so young at that time when I was exposed to racism, but that is what people of color have to go through, growing up at any age. They can experience racism at any age. That was not the only recent racial event to happen that was significant. Everyone has heard about the George Floyd incident where he was murdered in broad daylight, all because he tried to buy something with a fake $20 bill. They had accused him of resisting arrest, even though that it wasn't true, so they had to restrain him. The way they had done so cost him his life because the cop had put his knee on his neck, stopping him from being able to breathe. Even if he was resisting arrest, it should not mean a death sentence. This event sent the POC community into outrage. People of color protested all around the world. You have Formula One drivers protesting. You have NBA players protesting about this event. These protests that took place, it shook the US and even countries around the world for the better, but it came at the cost of a man's life who did not deserve to die. These very recent events are similar to the event with Emmett Till because they weren't given a chance to prove that they were, in fact, innocent of the crime that they were accused of. Yet the differences are impossible to miss. In the past, when this would happen to a person of color, hardly anyone paid notice to the situation and it would quickly be forgotten. Fortunately, today, that is not the case, as people care about when a person of color is wrongfully treated, either by a regular person or by a cop. Many people protest to give that person of color the fair chance they deserve to prove their innocence. These recent racial events that happened is evidence of the fact that racism is still around, yet it's executed in a different manner than how it was in the past. Before I end this video, I would like to talk about the shooting that happened in Buffalo this past weekend. I was not able to add this information into my essay because this event happened this past Saturday and I turned my essay in a few days prior. The shooter had a very racist motive and it was to kill as many Black people as possible. In order to do so, he had to drive over 3 hours to accomplish his goal. In the end, 11 out of the 13 people he killed were African Americans. He even went to the length to videotape this event and was thankfully taken down by the streaming service he was using. I saw the video and how he went out of his way to target Black people. It hurt to watch. That, unfortunately, is not all. He even had over 10 pages of a manifesto mentioning the white replacement theory and how he was going to do it. Even on his weapon, he had racial slurs written all over it. This event drastically hurts the POC community because this stuff was happening 100 years ago and it's still going on today. I hope that this event that happened this past weekend is a wake-up call to the people who don't believe that racism is still around today. And thank you for watching my video.